starting to believe, not believe in therapy.
Go on.
Starting to not believe in therapy.
That's a very good. That's a very good start.
I'm just getting myself ready for this.
Yes.
I have started to believe in feeling your emotions as they come, not letting things go per se, but letting them be a part of yourself. Mm-hmm. Just radical self-acceptance is what I believe in now. I don't believe that there's such thing as, changing for the better, not like in a bad way, but like I believe in, there is your true self that you are, that you have inside you. Mm-hmm. One that is productive, one that does what you want to do, mm-hmm. one that believes in what you believe in, which is like a driving factor, like things that drive you to do things that you want to do. Things that make you happy. And I feel like when that isn't met, when you're not your true self, you start to get into these abysses. You start to get into these voids and these shadow verses, as we say. And I feel like these small bits of creations that we make, for me, the art, the music and poetry for you, and performance arts with the spoken poetry that you do, I feel like they're all evidence of you getting past things, like you said before. And I feel like it's like kind of like keeping your certificate from getting your inoculation or your vaccine. You have like this vaccination that you have from getting past something.
Yes.
You have the evidence of it, which is the artwork that you made. Yes. And then you have the ability to look back on it and think about how you got that defensive barrier that you have to stop yourself from going through that again. If you let things go, then you're going to forget about it. You're going to like forget about how to deal with those things, and you're going to like go back to feeling like that again. Like, why would you want to?
3, 2, 1. Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Jeoffrey Sarpong podcast. Damn, today we have having me Jasmine. Jasmine, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you. I'm a little nervous, just for context. We are currently sat, I don't know where we are, but we're in central London. There's a river, there's a Thames there, there's boats and stuff, but there's loads of people around. And so I'm just looking around. So if this episode ends abruptly, it's because someone tried to steal my camera. So like, I'm just saying that from the jump. Okay, with that out of the way, thank you so much for joining me, Jasmine. I'm so happy you're here again. The last one that we did was so amazing. Like, every time I watch it, every time I see clips from it, I'm like, damn. And like those conversations, I love that we have that relationship where we can have a talk and it's just real, because we both feel like we're the same kind of artist, and we have that same kind of perspective. And so I like that we can come together always, and when we record one of these, allow ourselves to just kind of flow in that conversation. So I know last time when we spoke, right, one of the things I wanted to get more into depth with, which I didn't get a chance to, was painting. I think you're an amazing painter. I've seen your paintings. I talk about it all the time. Stop it. I talk about it all the time. But no, I really wanted to delve more into that, obviously. So the question I have for you is to just talk to me about the basics of painting. What are some of the techniques and skills that you think every painter should know, and how did you learn them and continue to use them today in your art?
Okay, to start this, I should say that I got only level 3 in art and fine art and everything. So I'm not like the most knowledgeable person, but I have some foundational skills that can be translated to other people. But I would say the most important thing is to deconstruct what you already know about art. Because basically, like, fine art in itself, if you're doing the normal ones like drawing, painting, and clay making or photography or something, is that everyone has a preconception of how you should do it, or why you should do it, or how, like, when, or what you should be doing. Should you be doing paints? Should you be doing sketches? Pen? But I feel like to start doing it, you should deconstruct exactly everything that you know and start from the bare basics. And what I learned myself is obviously have your muses have things you're inspired by, have people that you're inspired by. For me, it's people like Francis Bacon, Van Gogh, Da Vinci, who was my main person who I was like in love with, and Van Gogh followed. Having people who you're inspired by is probably the most important thing.
Talk to me more about your muses. There's a dustbin right beside us, so we'll continue. But talk to me more about your muses. When you say muses, what does that represent to you?
Well, it's people in your life or objects in your life that you're inspired to, or that you admire. If you're an artistic person, the admiration will basically be followed by your artistic instinct in the first place. Like, you get to know someone, and then you start thinking, oh, I should write a poem about this, or I should paint something about this, or a muse, you're looking at like the sky, and you're thinking, it reminds me of Starry Night from Van Gogh, or like just something that you can start off with to give you emotions in the first place, because I don't believe that art can come from a place of no emotions. I feel like something should give you emotions in the first place, something extreme enough that you want to create something out of it, and that should be what your muse is.
Is there always a good thing that comes, that emotion? Is it good, or can it be anything?
It can be anything. It doesn't have to be good. I mean, a lot of artists' work comes from anguish and like angst or ennui. I feel like a lot of artists don't really, because the negative emotions are so easy to pick on. They're so easy to pick out because as humans we look for negativity. It's in our nature. Something is wrong or something that doesn't agree with us. It's sort of standing there like a big red letter, you know?
You can't move past it.
Yeah.
You're just stuck in that moment where that thing, you have to try to almost figure it out. And to figure it out is a way of expression for us, right?
Exactly. And that goes both ways. Some things that feel good are maybe not good for you. Like a devil in disguise or something.
Yeah.
But
I've had a couple of devil in disguises in my life too.
Oh yeah.
So moving on from muses, you spoke about Francis Bacon, you spoke about Da Vinci, you spoke about Van Gogh. Talk to me about what kind of techniques do you think they used, and like how that kind of helped them express their art.
Well, I would say I feel like they are from places that basically they knew about painting and art and things, and they just tried things out. Like, some people don't paint on the same things. Like, there's different materials to use. Sometimes you live in an area where you can't access the same things as other people can. Like, no one is as rich as some artists, like that guy who did the formaldehyde stuff with the sharks. Can't remember his name now. I will later on.
He put sharks in.
Yeah, like he would put like animals, like dead animals inside like formaldehyde.
That's crazy.
So you can see their insides and stuff.
That's crazy.
And he did the butterfly mandala paintings and stuff, and they were all like actual butterflies. So he would like use anything at his disposal. But obviously not everyone has access to formaldehyde or things that can preserve, live things. But some people won't have access to things like acrylic paint, so then they'd use beetles.
Use whatever they can, exactly.
There are some people that use ink from trees or like oil from trees to use paintings, or they'll use their own blood in some cultures.
Creative.
Yeah, like I think there are some cultures who do use their own blood for those type of things, and it's even a new thing now. Like you'll use blood to do a painting. You'll start doing these performance arts. Even actors, their version of art is through their body.
They use themselves as the instrument.
So it's really about finding a foundation, finding out what you can access, finding out what you can do with what you have, and I feel like that's where everyone starts. But I feel like, to answer your question about people like Van Gogh and Francis Bacon, they chose obviously painting as an art. I think a lot of what their expression comes from is their styles. So then you'll have like Monet, for example, who has like the like dots and like and there's a technique called, I think it's called Jonathan Snow or something Snow.
Jon Snow?
Not Jon Snow. Could be Jon Snow. But like little splatters of paint that make you like focus on a certain part of the painting, or you'll have like actual brush strokes that make you like guide your eyes across the canvas to make you feel certain things that the artist felt. Like the painting we saw the other day, you know, with the it was like a French street, and he made it so that the paint was focused in the middle where the street was, and everywhere else was kind of like blurred.
Oh, because it was like the time lapse of what the city was about.
Yeah, and not even that, it was also like you had the focus of the street and also the actual like the vibrations of the street itself. Like everything was so vibrational and like dotty, and it was almost like you could feel the buzz of the people in the street. You know, it was so busy, you can hear the echoes through the painting, which is crazy.
Is this something that you learn in school, or is it something that you just picked up through just like your own kind of research into art?
I mean, what you learn about art in art school or by yourself, it's just about what you take in, what you choose to take in, because like we learn about different techniques, obviously, like different brush strokes, different things, but they don't tell you how to feel about it. They don't tell you, oh, this means this means that. They just tell you, this is what the artist used, and then what do you feel about it? You know, how do you feel when you look at this painting, or how do you feel when you're making these brush strokes? How do you feel when you're making these harsh edges? So it doesn't matter what you get taught or what you learn, it's about how you apply that.
So you get taught like whatever like ideas or whatever like kind of what knowledge there is in that field, and then it's about how you apply it to your own creative process, right? It's about how you apply it to your own way of understanding that way that you create.
Yeah.
So on that question then, talk to me. I got a question on that. Talk to me about your creative process. Talk to me about what it was like to discover how you like to create art. Obviously you were taught all these different things, but then when it came for you to start creating yourself, what was your process of thinking, and how did you find your own style, I guess?
I would say, I think a lot of it comes from basically just observing the world around you. Like you can't paint from things if you don't look. You know, like Van Gogh painted the sky because he saw different colours. He painted like his face to show what he feels about himself and other people. Da Vinci he drew actual like anatomically correct, you know, people because that's what he wanted to do with it. It's half about your inspiration and half about what you intend to do with it in the first place. And some of my paintings have been inspired by mainly expressionists. So I'm not really a realistic like painter or drawer. I do realistic things sometimes. But the thing that gives me the most joy out of it is when I use expressionism in my work.
What's expressionism? Can you explain that to me?
It's basically like the painting is less about what you're seeing and more about how it makes you feel. And how it's sort of like it's similar to impressionism, where you're making an impression of what a tree is or like what a building is to you, but you're basically expressing what the object in the painting is telling you, or what you want to tell it to other people. So it can be a mixture of using different colours to make it more vibrant, or you can use different brush strokes to make it seem more like alive, you know, because like if you're doing realism, then you're doing exactly what you're seeing, you know, to kind of make a message or like to make a stand and
to show that I can do this is exactly what I see, and I can recreate that.
Exactly. And then you'll have expressionists who will do, this is what I see, but this is how I feel about what I'm seeing. so then they'll use like some people would use the same colours that you're seeing, but like make it distorted slightly, or they'll make it so that it looks sort of, it's more of a feeling. It's contextual because you can't describe it properly.
Who's your favourite expressionist painter? That's the question that came to mind when you say that. Is Van Gogh an expressionist painter?
I would say so. I mean, there are a lot of his paintings that seem expressionist. Francis Bacon is probably one of my main favourites.
I know him. He's fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm not like entirely clued in about all of the academic art stuff. But when I see a painting that I like and what I feel like I know contextually, then it's sort of that's all that really matters to me. Because then you'll have Francis Bacon, who was going through all of these. He was an intense painter, one of those intense people. So then you'll feel the intensity through his work, which makes me feel like he's expressionist, because he's expressing himself. But
let me go off that. I think first off, that's brilliantly well done. I think it's very difficult when someone questions you about these like obviously artistic, powerhouses that came before and their styles and stuff like that. But I think the reason I asked that question because I know that you have an interest in this and that your perspective is so interesting. And that point you said about like expressionism and how that's kind of like what you're drawn to, I relate to that on a poetic sense. Well, when it comes to poetry, it's all expression. It's all about literally, I can't even get this thought from my mind to you without finding a way to express it to you. And obviously when I was in school too, I learned about all these like classical poets and like how they did it and like iambic pentameter and like rhyming schemes and rhyming couplets and Shakespeare. But then it comes down to you when you're doing it, it's about how you want to portray that. And so like sometimes I'll use slang in my poetry because I'm like actually that's more real to who I am. But sometimes I'll use Shakespeare because I'm like that's actually what I want to do. And finding that balance I think is so important, and it's so like as an artist, and I think this is the kind of like the point that I'm trying to make with this. I think like as an artist, finding your style and finding who you are is a process of just like trying to learn the things that that came before you, the classics and all these things, but then letting that go. Letting the idea of like you have to adhere to those styles go, because it's not a car. You can't just learn it by just like manually learning it. You have to feel it. You have to be able to express it. And you have to be able to show that this is how you perceive this type of art, this piece of art. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I do think art. People who try to teach you rules about art and stuff, those rules are meant to be broken. As long as you know them, like the basics. Things like guidelines, the basics of how to make things more visually focused in the painting and the canvas, or how to make things more vibrant, or how to do certain textures, certain brushstrokes, how to use certain tools at your disposal. I feel like knowing those certain foundation skills can help you build upon your own stuff. Your own craft, because it is a craft. Like that's where the word artisan came from. You're an artisan of your craft. So you have So even in poems as well, you'll learn how to make a certain paragraph or a certain verse stand out from the rest of them because it's the most important one to you. And it may not be the same thing to an actual reader. They might think, oh, this verse is more important to me because it speaks to me more. That's the best thing about it, is that there's no rules involved. It's just the foundation skills, and then you're in,
I agree, and like what comes to mind too, I always wanted to ask you is like because obviously for me, right, speaking from my experience a little bit, I use poetry as a way to express, and poetry really does help me go through things. Like it's weird because like when I'm going through something, I won't really talk about it much with my friends. I talk about it, experiences, but I always feel like I never have the right words to describe what I'm trying to say. But when it comes to poetry, because I'm so used to it, it's almost like it's a way I can express, and it's like, here, this is what I think. Almost like people don't ask what I think in my mind. Like, here, this is what I really think, because this is something I've really thought about, and how my brain chooses to express it is through this medium. So I wanted to ask you, how do you use painting as a way to get over or to overcome emotional difficulty, or like when you have emotions, is there a way that you use it to kind of like understand those emotions in a sense? You know what I'm saying?
I would say that it takes a lot for me to be motivated to do art in the first place, because when you're in a bad place or you're going through something, it's sort of the last thing you want to do. Because you're like, oh, no one cares about my art, all grumbly and stuff. Yeah. But when you force yourself to do something that you enjoy like that, it's sort of like all the noise just kind of like goes away. It's sort of like meditation.
It's that flow state you get into, right?
I mean, a flow state kind of is. when you're in a flow state, it's like you're very productive. But when you're doing this sort of thing where you're painting or you're writing or something, it's like, it's sort of like all the noise just gets shut out, and you're only present in what you're doing, and I don't know, you're still feeling what you're feeling, like you're feeling angry or whatever, but that's all. That's it. Like, you're not attaching words to it, like, oh, this person at work, or that person on the train annoyed me.
Is there a piece that comes to mind when you think of that? Or something you've done not recently, but something you've done before that, when you were in that state, when you were trying to create it, you really were in that kind of like focus on making that, and as that was like a process of understanding yourself almost.
It was my sunflower painting. The 3 sunflowers. It was inspired by Van Gogh, obviously, because it had the yellows and blues and oranges. But like I was just kind of just doing it. Like I was just painting and painting and painting, not really knowing the time was passing by. And then I finish, I look out, and it's right outside again. Like I stood up the entire night, like 12, 15 hours just painting. I didn't even realize the time was like that gone that quick. And it was in a time of my life when I was sort of trying to figure out what got me from A to B, from when I was, because it was like a mid abyss, mid shadowverse.
Oh, shallow, shallow waters, but it was still waters.
It was like, I don't know, it was so, I was in the middle of, a dark place, and I was trying to figure out how to get past it. So now I was thinking about how I got past my previous meltdown. So then I think I called the piece One Being, because it was like 3 sunflowers but 1 stem. So you had 3 faces, 3 phases, or like 3 moments of being. But you have to remind yourself that this is going to be part of the same mosaic of your life. You'll have this bad moment, but that's just a piece of the mosaic that you're going to look back on in the future, and you're going to be like, oh, this big picture is beautiful. You're going to be on your deathbed, you're going to be like, this is my mosaic of life.
Your life, is a mosaic itself, isn't it? Yeah.
So you just have to think of it as a piece of the puzzle.
Talk to me more about. Sorry, go on.
No,
I was gonna say, talk to me more about that, because you said that, and it's really like poignant, because I'm reminding myself of me going through that too, because it's so weird, right? Especially when you create something that's like, you can create a painting, or you can create a book, or you make a poem. It's something that's there, right? And it's like, you can go through that process and you overcome it, and you go to the other side and you're fine again, and whatever, you go back outside, everything's perfect. But when you come back again, and I think that's what we were talking about before, when you come back again, you've almost kind of developed, like you said, the white blood cells. You've developed a tangible way to understand how you were in that process. And like, if you have a piece of art that you can refer back to, you go, oh, I've done this before. Like, look at me, like 5 years ago, talking about the same thing I'm going through now. Had perspective then, I went through it then, so that I can really overcome it. And I find that such an interesting thing, how art is a way that we can, even like art from before, even if art from before when we're in a different phase of our life, is a way we can always use it to kind of overcome ourselves in the moment. And it's like, so when we create an art, we're creating it for ourselves. Now we're also creating it for our future version of ourselves, who's going to look back on this moment and be like, fuck, like, I really understood myself then, or like, I had this thing that I was going through, but somehow I found a way through, and it gives me hope to kind of know that whatever I'm going through now, I've overcome. Because it's really difficult, I think, when people go through stuff, like, it happens to me, even to me all the time, when I'm going through stuff, I have to create, because if I don't create, then I can't transform that thing into anything, So talk to me about that. How do you think, what is it like when you transform pain or suffering into art? What is that process like? Is that a process that you think is needed in art? Can you not? Obviously, you can have happy thoughts. You can create lovely, crazy, rosy poems and whatever, or rosy paintings. But do you think when you get to that place of suffering, what you create is more real? It's more seeped in. Maybe not real, but it's more seeped in. You know what I'm trying to say? It's more seeped in that kind of that truth of your reality in that moment, because you almost have to bleed to make this thing happen.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that, actually, because when I look back at my old paintings, the first thing that comes into my mind is, how am I still alive? like how have I gone through that? Like when I was making the painting itself, I was like not
Okay.
I did not think I'd get through it. Like when you're in the middle of the dark and you can't see any light whatsoever, it's like you just see yourself as stranded. You can't see yourself past that moment. So then when now I look back and I'm like, how did I, how?
How did I do it? Yeah.
Because like I'm just thinking like, yeah, like the amount of times that I thought that my life was done, and then it wasn't.
But you did it exactly, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
So that teaches you something about yourself, about how like actually like you have like a lot of ability to overcome things inside of you. You're very resistant, and it's like no matter what comes next, you understand that the resistance in you is tangible. You have evidence of that. You know? And like you can attribute to art, you can attribute to who you are. What comes first? I don't know. Maybe it's who you are that creates the art. But it's like at the end of the day, it's like having that perspective. I'm gonna live my life like this, like an artist who creates art, and like that's how I get through my shit. Fuck therapy. I'm gonna create art. But that is a therapeutic experience. And I think I'm just wondering how, because I know you've done it, and we spoke about this too. What is that process like for you when you have to kind of like overcome that and turn whatever you're going through into something that, or do you even think of it like that? Do you think you're turning this into something that of art, or do you think I just need to do something right now and it just happens to be art?
I'm starting to believe, not believe in therapy.
Go on.
I'm starting to not believe in therapy.
That's a very good. That's a very good start.
I'm just getting myself ready for this.
Yes.
I have started to believe in feeling your emotions as they come, not letting things go per se, but letting them be a part of yourself. Just radical self-acceptance is what I believe in now. I don't believe that there's such thing as, changing for the better, not like in a bad way, but like I believe in, there is your true self that you are, that you have inside you. One that is productive, one that does what you want to do, one that believes in what you believe in, which is like a driving factor, like things that drive you to do things that you want to do. Things that make you happy, and I feel like when that isn't met, when you're not your true self, you start to get into these abysses. You start to get into these voids and these shadow verses, as we say. And I feel like these small bits of creations that we make, for me, the art, the music and poetry for you, and performance arts with the spoken poetry that you do, I feel like they're all evidence of you getting past things, like you said before. And I feel like it's like kind of like keeping your certificate from getting your inoculation or your vaccine. You have like this vaccination that you have from getting past something.
Yes.
You have the evidence of it, which is the artwork that you made.
Yes.
And then you have the ability to look back on it and think about how you got that defensive barrier that you have to stop yourself from going through that again. If you let things go, then you're going to forget about it. You're going to like forget about how to deal with those things, and you're going to like go back to feeling like that again. Like, why would you want to?
Okay, let me go off that, because I know this is something we spoke about off camera, and it'd be good to get into it here too. Because for me, a lot of people tell me to let stuff go. And I think they tell me that because they understand that my mind works in a very like different way, where I will hyper-focus on something until I figure it out. And that hyperfixation will carry on for months and months and months, because I just try to because I have to almost feel myself through stuff. And they see how I struggle going through it, and they're like, they want me to be happy again. So they're like, let it go, Jeff, because it was just fine. But I always tell them, it's like, this is just who I am. It's like the art, the part that you like, that kind of like amazing personality, that comes from this too. Like, it's an iceberg. That's the top. The depths of it is the fact that I can't let stuff go. The fact that inside of me is a fucking massive tide of emotions that I can only express a little bit, and I can like the ability to let go, and it's something I struggle with. Is something I try to work on, but I remember you always saying, it's like, yeah, like, why let it go? Because you have to feel through it, and these emotions are evidence that you went through the experience. And if you don't have that, you look back on your life, you think like everything was just stifled, everything was just kind of repressed. Like, how are you supposed to even get to an end where, because these experiences, they're going to make you the person that you need to be, because you're actually going through them, you're actually experiencing them. But a question I have is like, what if you're doing that but it's painful and it's hard for you to go through them? How would you get freedom that way?
Well, no one likes pain. It's the main thing. Like no one likes pain unless you're like a masochist.
Sadistic masochist. Yeah.
Unless that's your thing. But I'm a firm believer in feeling pain. I'm a huge believer in it. You have the Buddhists who believe that suffering is life. Yeah, you have these people who go through their life avoiding pain, and all they have in their life is all shallow things. They have money, they have a house, they have a family, and that's it. But then these people, they believe that this is what makes their lives enriched, but I don't believe that. I feel like you're gonna die one day. I keep saying this to people.
Memento mori, bro.
Memento mori, exactly. Thank you. I can't do it. I'm sorry.
And you left me hanging on camera. I was about to cry. I was actually gonna cry right here.
If anyone missed it, I can't do handshakes. No.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Memento mori. You're gonna die one day. Why would you want to die not being yourself? You're gonna like avoid all these things in your life that you can look back on. Yeah, it's terrible. It's a really, really bad thing to go through, whatever you're going through. And you have to just accept the fact that it's happening to you.
Okay, break it down for us. How do you go through emotions? Because you're right, it is easy to tell people, just go through the emotions, dude. It's fine, dude.
Just feel it.
Just feel it, dude. Just let it take over you, dude. But like, how do you really tangibly go through emotions? Say you're feeling like anger, say you're feeling like listlessness, and it's like all you feel is an intense emotion, and all you want to do is get rid of it. How would you sit in that? How do you sit in those difficult emotions?
Well, I kind of just do. Like, you just... Because, like, I don't know. What I remind myself, and sometimes it is harder than other times. Sometimes I'm even... Like, I'm not going to say I'm perfect. I do avoid pain sometimes as well. But when you're going through things, I like to remind myself, or try to, that, whatever you're going through is sort of like, like those canal things, when you're like the water gates, that it builds up the water and it keeps it closed, and then it opens up for the canal to go through, but it first lets all the water go through. The canal can't pass unless the water is risen, unless the water gate has let the water through. It can't go past. If you're going to keep the water gate closed in the canal, you can't move. You can't move forward. You can't get to where you want to be because you're stuck in this moment, because you're not letting yourself feel anything. You're not really letting yourself express it. People who refuse to cry, or refuse to ask for help, or refuse to even just say, "Hey man, can you just like listen to what I have to say?" Because you're just letting it out. Let it out, let it in. Be in the moments, because that's what keeps time slow for you. Like, if you keep on trying to get past things, like let things go, you're going to end up being 50, 60 years old past that and think, where did the time go? Because you've just been avoiding things all your life. You've been skipping past roofs, trying to avoid the alleyways, and you missed out what was in there. You missed out on what those alleyways had inside them, because you were too busy trying to avoid the pain.
I think it's so true too, because like I think obviously for me too, to be honest, one of the things I struggle is feeling that emotions. The emotion I struggle most with, letting go, but also feeling like sadness almost, and it's deeper than sadness. I don't even know the word for it. Probably some French word, ennui probably. It's feeling ennui because I really want to make every aspect of my life exciting. I want to live every moment of my life and have this like understanding. I was telling a friend about this. I have this like deep understanding that we are going to die one day, and it's like every moment that we have, all these things that don't go your way, those are just moments passing by, like tears in the rain, lost, like it's just, you will never get those moments back. And so I have this kind of feeling about those deep moments. I'm like, damn, like I wish I didn't feel like this so I can enjoy my life, but I'm learning now to feel these emotions and to talk to people about it, because I know that only one way. I mean, two things, right? A, it helps you connect to people. So when you share your pain and they realize, oh shit, you're also just like me because I relate to what you're talking about, it gives them an opportunity to share their pain, you know. And the people that, you know, like, because I often think in society we have this weird kind of understanding that everyone else is better than us, which is not true. We're all the same. We're all literally going through the same thing. We just have very good mask. Some people are just very good at hiding it, you know. But I feel like once you break that down with people and you're able to share those emotions, share those moments of just vulnerability, then you can actually like connect with them. Once you connect with someone, man, that gives them hope about human life, you know. And I think that's beautiful. And so like just for that reason, I'm learning, okay, share those emotions, come out, and you know, being able to just like, you know, even if I'm going through something small, you know, like I was talking to you about my woe is me problems, you know. Oh my god, I have so many friends, oh my god, I can't keep up with all of them. But that's a real emotion, you know. That's a real thing that I'm going through, and that's a real thing I'm learning to overcome and stuff like that. I wanted to ask you, what is something that you struggle with? What's an emotion that you struggle with that as you've gone older, you've learned maybe not to overcome it, but like to handle it and to live in it, to sit in it and to let it be?
I don't know. Obviously, you have the basic ones: low self-esteem. You have the low self-confidence. I think there are two of them that I can think of that I struggle with the most. Boredom. I hate feeling bored. I hate it. And then there's also the feeling of not really belonging anywhere.
Go with boredom first. Talk to me about both of them, but go with boredom first. Why do you hate feeling bored?
Boredom is the worst feeling in the world. Not,
Literally, but like...
not in a third world,
yeah,
but like...
in the sense of like, yeah, I'm right here.
In the sense of my individual life,
Yeah.
boredom is sort of like this parasite that kind of clings to you when you're not doing anything and you start to feel like, damn, there's like, I have to do something, but I can't. Like, I just, you're like paralyzed, Oh, I feel paralyzed when I'm bored. And then you end up doing things that are not good for you, like overeating or like talking to your ex or whatever. You just start doing things to like make yourself feel anything again. But I found my cure for that, and that's just finding songs that make me want to cry, like show tunes, Lady Gaga, that kind of thing, Alanis Morissette, just feel songs, because I realize that boredom is not really a problem in itself. It's more of a symptom of something else that's happening. When you're bored, it means you're avoiding something, and that usually is a bad emotion, because when you're bored, it's like your brain is shut off. There are things to do. There's go to London, to meet Jeff, or there's like, paint the painting that you want to do, and then it's like, no, I don't want to do that. And then people just write it off as boredom.
Yeah.
But that's not the problem in itself. That's a symptom of it.
Symptom of a problem, yeah. And especially in our society that we live in currently, right? It's like everyone's trying to escape that boredom by just fulfilling themselves with just like tap, 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 or like literally go out and just like just constant stimulation to get rid of that boredom.
Yeah.
But then it's like you're still left with yourself. You can't run away from yourself.
Yeah.
And so you have to face yourself in that sense. What was the second one? The second one that you said?
The second one was not really belonging anywhere. Kind of feeling like either people don't care about you or the world is just sort of like separate from yourself. And I feel like that comes from a place of either not being secure in what you're doing or not being who you truly want to be. Because I feel like the happiest people feel like everyone's their friend, like that drunk guy down the road. He's like, yes, that's good, high-fiving everybody. Like that, they feel like they belong because they're like everyone's their friend.
Yeah.
But I feel like when you feel like you don't belong, it's usually because you either two options. Either you're being highly judgmental with other people and don't believe that they would understand you, which is a judgment, which makes you judgmental. Because if you're judging other people, that makes you a person who's judgmental. Anyway. Judging.
Not, yes, you be judged.
Exactly. And if anyone's interested in that aspect of psychology, look into MBTI types. That'll answer your questions.
Speak a little more on that, because I'm not interested now that you said that. For them too, but for me.
Well, it's like, it's a Carl Jung thing. It's like 16 personalities. It's pretty basic. It's like you have introversion or extroversion, intuitive or sensing, feeling or perceiving, thinking and feeling, and then judging and perceiving. So you have different like letters. that would make you a personality type. My one is INFJ, so that means I'm introverted, intuitive, feeling, and judging. So I do have the tendency to judge other people based on preconceptions, which is what I have to get myself out of. Basically, not allowing myself to open up to feel things, which is like, you know, a weird paradox, because artists do that, even though they are the most emotional people. Like they stop themselves from being emotional because they are emotional. Like that makes no sense, because artists are paradoxes, I swear. Like, don't be friends with one.
What are you talking about?
Don't be friends.
Be friends with artists. They're the best types of
Don't
people.
be friends with me, okay? Because you'll get like, you know, overwhelmed.
How can I go with that? I think it's too late. I'm already friends with you, so instructions unclear. I was already friends with you before you started. But no, 100%. I completely believe what you're saying. I think it's so true. Like the idea that, like, first off, on the emotional thing too, I feel like there's an emotional Overton window. There's emotions that we feel like are acceptable in society to have, and so, like, especially maybe for guys or girls, or even like this your social standing, and like you know, every time we talk about how we feel, we have to classify it, it's like, oh yeah, because we're not in the third world. But it's like, bro, it doesn't matter. You're still going through the human experience, you know. Like, I've been through the third world. They have probably happier than we are, because they don't have to deal with the same stuff we have to deal with. Of course, they've got issues, classifying again. But like, it's the idea that, you know, like, just certain things that is okay to feel, there's certain emotions that is acceptable to feel, because that allows you to, like, you know, fit into society. Everyone is allowed to be depressed. You know, when I was at uni, everyone's depressed. Everyone's just as what it is, you're depressed. But like, if it's like a tangible emotion, like, I don't know, you feel like constant dread about society or something like that, or you feel like, I don't know, you just feel ennui, or like whatever emotion that society doesn't conform to, you're not allowed to have that. And that's a very difficult thing to do, because like, how are you supposed to feel that emotion if people don't expect you to have that? So the question I'm asking, do you think about that? Do you think society has an Overton window of emotional, just acceptable emotions? And if that is the case, what do we do?
I'm not going to pretend that I know all the answers, but I think one of them is people like your other friends telling you to let things go. That's one of the symptoms of the problem. People trying to avoid things. And I also feel like people who kind of ask you if you're okay, only to then say to you, let things go. Then letting it go is more for them than it is for you, I feel like.
I don't want to hate they do care. I know, I'm going to defend my friends. They do care about me. It's not from a place of good, but I understand exactly what you're saying.
It comes from a place of good, obviously. But I feel like in terms of social interaction, letting things go is more for them, so that they feel more comfortable talking to you. I do feel like, because, you know, I don't know, the whole aspect of sitting in your emotions and letting it, like, stir just for a little while, so that you know that you're human, you know, is a lot more of a I feel like that's kind of like the medicine that you need when you've been for so long ignoring your emotions and ignoring how you feel, and repressing them, because that's when things happen. That's when bad things happen. And when people tell you to let things go, that's sort of like a symptom of it, because they've been doing the same thing, where they've just been, you know, ignoring things and letting things build. Because it gets to a point where you're smiling, you're letting things go, you're like, oh yeah, hey, everything's fine, but it is what it is, which I hate that phrase. I hate that phrase so much.
It is what it is.
Like, I use it myself, but like, I hate it at the same time.
No, it is not what it is. What you choose it to be.
Exactly. Like, because it's true, it is what it is, but like, don't just let that go. Like, yeah, you know, it's things like where it's like, if someone was mean to you, yeah, you can let that go, because it's probably their problem. But if it's a problem within yourself, why should you let that go? It's part of you. You know, you are the person who created those emotions in the first place. It's your chemicals. Like, why are you letting that go? Like, what are you going to do? Bloodlet? You're just going to get rid of those chemicals that created the emotion in the first place? You can't. That's impossible.
It doesn't help. It makes
I'm getting all worked up.
No, please do. That's exactly what you're supposed to. Okay, I got a question on that. I think also it's beautiful too, because you're right, letting things go is mostly for other people. And like, one of the things that I think is so interesting about the human experience, if that can be said. It's like we always have these like moments of like spikes where you just like you almost like you flip online, and like when it definitely happens in small trajectories when we have those like emotions, the emotional turmoil moments. But I think it happens biggest when we have those existential crises. So the question I want to ask you is like, I remember my first existential crisis, and I'll go off that, but I also want to know yours, because I feel like for me, when I first realized the massiveness of the world and my small, like almost meaningless existence in it, it kind of sent me on a spiral. But it was twofold, right? First was the spiral of like nothing matters, yeah, and then then the second was that everything matters, and those came like after each other because of like philosophy. So like I would read a lot when I was a kid. I still do, but way more when I was back in the day. I would read all the time, and like you would read all these different like Nietzsche and Socrates and like I don't know, like Descartes. Like you'd read all these different philosophers, and they'll be telling you how meaningless your life is, and how these ideas for thousands of years we figured it out. Like life is this, and like I was like, wait, what? Like life is what? And I don't even have to. I'm like 18. I'm trying to figure my stuff out, but that was very, very, very like vivid for me. Like obviously I probably had, because before then I did not think about these topics at all. I was just like running around like a little kid playing football, living life, completely NPC'd out here. But that kind of woke me up, and I was like, okay, cool, there's more to life than just, the surface. This actually goes deeper, and going deeper allows you to kind of like learn how to swim. So the question I'm asking you is like, yeah, when did you have your first existential crisis, and did it change the way you view the world?
So I got my first existential crisis when I was 2 years old. Didn't get my favorite toy from the museum. I'm kidding.
I was so deep in, I was like, go on. How did you do that at 2 years old? How are you still surviving?
Actually, that was my sister. But anyway, I don't know. I think my first existential crisis, probably the most basic thing you can think of, being a teenager. I would think I was probably like 12. I think actually my first one was probably when my uncle passed away, and then it was like my first kind of like experience of death. It hit the whole family, because it was like it wasn't like a natural death either, so there was like no closure, and you start to realize how much kind of how fickle life is, but also how delicate human condition is based on that. Like, people can die, and your neighbors might not care because it doesn't affect them, because the ripples don't reach that far, but they reach you, and it's like your life is turned upside down. You don't know what to do with yourself, because you used to think of everyone in your family as being indestructible. Everyone's gonna live forever, and then you realize that especially when it's a non-natural death, you realize that it's sort of I don't know, everything sort of gets turned, and you see everyone's true colours, and you see everything, the world's true colours, and
the world for what it really is. It's almost,
yeah, because when you experience that, you kind of snap out of your childhood mindset. As soon as that happens to you, being so young, you sort of stop being a child.
You're an adult now.
You sort of see everything as a 40-year-old would. You're like walking around smoking, like, life, this is what happened to me.
You're basically French. Inside French.
I have a trench coat, and I'm drinking scotch on the rocks with a twist.
You become a detective, just like in your part time, just like, what is life?
You're unshaven, you have a beard. Yes, I'm a male detective in my fantasies. But like, yeah, I kind of stopped kind of caring about silly things, like small things. I just mainly cared about the big things, like how I wanted to live my life, how I wanted to make things better for other people. You sort of kind of come out of your own self, and then things sort of like change internally as well. You start to feel yourself evolve as a person, and then you start to, because then when you become that self-aware at a young age, you start to kind of have paradoxes in teenagehood, where you're like, you know better, but you feel things as a teenager would. Like something pisses you off, and you're like, for God's sake, I know that I shouldn't be angry, but still, So you sort of become self-aware after your first existential crisis, and then everything else after that seems like a complete paradox.
Absolutely.
because then you allow yourself to feel things, but you're like, oh, I shouldn't feel this way, but I kind of should. And I know why I feel this way, but like also why did this happen? Yeah.
I love that. I mean, like, man, like I say, like, self-awareness is a trap because we're still stuck on this mortal coil. It's like legit, like all these things that we think that once we're self-aware we can overcome it. No, you just realize that that's what you're going through. You just diagnose the issue better. That doesn't mean the issue goes away. It actually means you actually magnify the issue because you're like, oh, this is actually deep. I have to fix this. I have to fix this feeling of ennui because actually it leads to depression. Actually, that leads to me doing things I don't want to do. So it's like, okay, let me actually fix it. And then you're stuck in that emotion. And it's like, especially when you're like you said, when you're trying to feel those things inside of you, when you're trying to feel those things as you guys grow up. And I think artists have it hardest because I believe, because I feel like you have to connect with the world. You have to connect on a deeper level in order to create. And so we get comfortable with that connection. We don't understand that sometimes you don't connect always. So whenever I meet people, I'm trying to connect. And I think now I've realized, and I think I've talked to you about this, now I'm realizing that connection sometimes is unwarranted. But I just always give it because I've like, actually, if I connect, I can find something here. I'm looking for gems. But you can't always be looking for gems. Sometimes you have to protect yourself. And that's the boundary, and that's finding that comes in the world, And I think also, like, that leads me to another point, too, because, like, I've always been, like, and I think about this all the time, it's like, people have this, I think there's this, like, constant regression to a mean that doesn't exist. Like, everyone tries to be the same person, or everyone tries to present themselves in this with the mask that we were talking about before, like, kind of all ties in, that, like, emotional overton window, the kind of mask that we have, all of these things that we try to appear as normal as possible. It's something that bothers me about the world because I don't understand why we're like that. And I get it why we're like that, but I don't understand it, if that makes sense. Because I don't think that I think we also know, like, cognitively, that we also know that, like, that doesn't help us. It just makes us further and further apart. And like what I try to do with the podcast, of me being the first person to be like, yeah, look at me too, like I struggle with stuff too. Here's my deep poetic thing about stuff that I'm going through. I hope that will inspire you to do the same thing because we're all in this together at some point. But yeah, what's something that bothers you about the world when you look out and you see everything that's going on around now?
I would say almost exactly the same thing. And something that reminded me of what you said just now is I believe that this is honestly the consequence of globalism. Because if you think, biologically, we started out as small tribes, right? We have small tribes, small villages, we have a small connection in different places in the world. Everyone has their own. And suddenly, boom, internet, we're all connected. I have friends in Korea who I can speak to like this. And now everyone knows everyone's business. Everyone knows what's happening in, Syria, and everyone knows what's going on with Russia, and it's like, we shouldn't know.
We should be that involved, yeah.
We shouldn't know because biologically we can't know. Or the only reason why we do know is because of our own creations. And I feel like because of that, the world in wrapped up in a bow is both smaller and bigger than we thought it would be. It's smaller in the sense that we know everything that's going on, and bigger in the sense that we find ourselves so overwhelmed by everything that we either implode in ourselves, become shells, hermits, or we become so obsessed with trying to fit in with other people because the whole world is trying to be one person. It's trying to be global,
The lowest common denominator almost, we're trying to find a way to appeal to everyone, and I think there's two conversations to be had there. The first conversation is like there's just too much information out there. We just can't affect change as much as we would like to, and that makes us more apathetic about the world.
Yeah.
And it's like on an individual level that comes in the fact that we don't even want to connect to people anymore. It's like we're on the trajectory of just not less connection, even though we're more connected.
Yeah.
That's a weird thing. That's a weird feeling,
If we're both less connected and more connected than ever, like it's so strange because like we so badly want to make positive changes in the world around us based on our own primal urge to survive as a species. But I also feel like because of these new, second-hand creations that we've made, like the internet, the cloud, whatever the hell they mean when they say the cloud,
Not these ones.
Not these ones. No, it's conceptual. Like, what's going on? Everything is now conceptual, and you have to be thinking about things. We're not experiencing these things that's happening in other countries. We just know about them. And now, because we can't do anything to help it, we can't, like, you know, I don't know. These people that are walking around us aren't exactly like arming themselves with guns and going to help them in the war. You know, we just have to find a way to be okay with it and carry on with our lives whilst knowing about it. And it's like, if you think about it in a biological sense, you know, if we had all this information in a small tribe, they would all be garnering, you know, weapons and
to go
armor.
actually make a difference, to go change the thing.
We'll have the reach to be able to help someone in our own tribe, but now because our tribe is the planet, we can't reach them that well. Even though we can text them, we can't really reach them physically. So it's sort of like, it's making us feel, you know, obsolete in a way. Like everyone feels so obsolete because we have our jobs, you know, day-to-day life, 9 to 5s. Starts to feel so unimportant, and that's where apathy comes from, I believe. Everyone just feels so apathetic now because nothing we do changes anything. So what's the point, you know?
Can I go off that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's very bleak, but I actually want to present the opposite perspective, because I do think that there is, like I was saying before, nothing matters, but also everything matters. You know, because like it starts with a ripple, it starts with you, it starts with your ability to make change for the people around you, and then maybe you can't help those people yet, because you don't have the influence to do it. But there's people out there who do, and they're not making the change. So, you know, if they're in the wrong positions, we got to take them out. And how are we going to do that through politics? I don't believe so. But I think when we get to that stage, we can make the change for it. We can actually have the experience to actually make those first-time movements to actually change something in the world, because this is our only world, you know, like we are one tribe in a sense, but you're right, we're so disconnected because we feel apathetic because it's just so much happening at once, and a lot of us are just sleepwalking through it because what else can you do? But I'm always focused on like the positive, I'm always focused on like finding hope. So having said that, everything that you said, what's something that gives you hope about the world? What's something that you can look at and be like, yeah, that's disappointing, but there's a tide that's rising against something. There's a tide that's rising against that perspective, and I actually want to be on that side. What's that for you?
For me, again, it's just the arts. Like anything. Like, you know, for example, people will hate me for saying this, but Joker 2 gave me some more hope in life.
You're the first person I think ever seen on the internet.
I loved that movie with all of my might. You know, it's like the latest thing that's given me some more boost.
Yes.
You know?
Go
like
on, tell me what, talk to me.
I feel like, you know, if you do some research, you'll realize that it's actually an artistic thing, not an actual DC Comics thing. First of all, the Joker wasn't meant to be the Joker from Dark Knight, you know. It's so stupid, man. Like, okay, the Joker in this Joker movie, including the first one, by the way, wasn't the Joker in Batman, Heath Ledger, Jack Nicholson. It wasn't supposed to be like that. It was Arthur Fleck. He's literally, like he said in the freaking speech he made before he killed, you know, De Niro.
Yeah.
He literally said, I'm a mentally ill loner with a society who treats him like trash. And that's what he is. He's a mentally ill loner with a society who treats him like trash. That's the whole point of this Arthur Fleck guy. And people are treating it like, oh, that was just his origin story. He's gonna be like a cool, you know, like jester who kills people. That's not what the first movie was saying at all. Like that wasn't the origin story of him. That was just his journey to his first kills, because he got to the point where he just flipped a switch in his mind, because he got to the point where he couldn't escape the abyss anymore unless he did something about it. Because he just, I don't know.
So you think he's misunderstood?
Completely misunderstood by people.
That's true art.
True art, like
It's misunderstood by people.
it was an artistic, like we said before. You have impressionists, expressionists. This guy is an impression of the mental health institution in this world. You know, we have people who don't really give a damn about these people who go through things. Like we said, we're just expecting people to just let things go. You know, obviously Arthur Fleck couldn't, because he killed people about it. Like that was his solution. He was obviously going through things that he couldn't go through because people weren't allowing him to go through things. as we all remember in the first movie, the mental health institutions were being defunded, so he had no medications left. You know, he couldn't speak to anyone about it because no one cared enough to talk to him about it. So then he did something that would make them care, which is kill someone, because they were like, oh, grab my pearls, you know. And then the second, the whole, you know, there are some aspects of him that the director told Joaquin Phoenix that there's music inside him, which was the starting point for the sequel, that there was music inside them. These are people who find drive, being artists, you know, having these fantasies about, you know, music and how it affects them, and they literally communicate with music. The scene when Joker was singing to the interviewer guy through the TV to Lee, and it's like, dude, this is the kind of thing that artists, they go through as well. Like, I feel like anyone who considers himself an artist should like this movie.
Whoa, that's great. Okay, fair enough.
Like, they should, because like if they don't see,
they're not a true artist.
they're just they're not using their artistic abilities.
I hear that.
Because everyone just started being like, oh, it's a musical, I hate it. Like, okay, like that's not the whole point of the movie. Like, it wasn't seen as a musical like Wicked or something. Like, even the first movie could be considered a musical because of all the dancing scenes that he does, and the original motif that they created with the cello. Well, I'm not sure what instrument it was. It was similar to a cello. And if you notice, it's not just they don't just randomly come out in song. They use it to communicate with each other, you know. And at the end of the movie, you have, I'm not going to spoil anything, but
because I've not seen it yet.
You have, you know, a certain scene where Lee is singing, and Arthur is like trying to communicate with her, but they're not on the same page. So whatever she's singing, he isn't feeling. He's trying to do something else, and it just shows different communications and stuff. And the funny thing is, people are reacting the same way to this movie as the public did in the movie itself about Lee and Joker, which is crazy. Like, it's like a meta thing, you know. Sorry, I'm talking about too much.
No, absolutely. Go on.
Watch the movie.
I'll go off that, because it's funny, because my next question was going to be, what movie do you think everyone should watch? And you literally answered that preemptively by going on this like 2-minute absolute soliloquy about the Joker.
I know about it, trust me.
I know. We spoke about this, and to be fair, like, I've not seen the movie. I've just seen a lot of hate of it online. But I'm gonna watch it because I'm like, I want to make up my own opinion. It can't be that bad. It can't be that bad. And I keep saying that because literally, like, everyone I see just always shits on the movie, and I'm like, no, I actually want to see it because, like you were saying, if there's an artistic way to it, I don't think a movie, the first movie, which is really good, can take a turn like that unless it's just something people are missing. And so I will watch it myself and make my own opinion and see, and I'll let you know what you think, what I think. I think that part about if you're a true artist, you have to like this movie. That's funny as fuck.
No, it's not like you have to like this movie. I'm saying you should be able to use your abilities to understand the movie.
Yes. Because the artist is the director is using his artistic way to express this, and he's showing that actually this is an expression of a character which you guys are used to, but it's not the same thing. This is my version of it. It's like what we were saying with an impressionist painting. Yeah. This is my impression of the Joker.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like the actors too. The actors are using their artistic abilities to translate the characters that they were given, to express themselves and what they feel like the character would do in that situation. You know, and Lady Gaga, she's an artist who sings, so she felt strongly about this character because of the music that she has inside her. You know, she feels like, you know, she understands Lee because of the whole communicating through song, through music, through like performance, and the running motif of the song That's Entertainment, which I believe you should listen to. I'll send it to you. It's a song about how life is a stage, and everything that happens to you is like it should be entertaining. Like this is what this, you know, like
the whole world's a stage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing that Joker. By the way, in the comics, also, he believes the whole world is a stage. You know, you have the whole him making jokes, the whole being a performance. You know, he does everything performatively. he even sings in a couple of his animations and stuff. Like I don't know, but people were surprised for no reason, in my opinion.
I think you made a very good case for the Joker, which is good because there's so much hate of it online. But to wrap this up, actually, because I think this has been a fantastic conversation, and I think that like I said, I think I love that when we have conversations because we can go from talking about like the Joker to like the artistic expression and like all these different ways that the human experience just shows itself. And I think one of the ways that I love to, I guess, exist in a human experience is when I look out there and I just start looking at the skies and I look past the stars and start thinking about our place in the universe, and like I just start thinking, a bit about the existential crisis, but more on the kind of like superficial, kind of like, not superficial, more on the kind of meaningful, what is our place here? How did we get here? What does consciousness mean? What does the universe mean? Do you ever think about that? And if you do you have any answers to share?
I have the answer to life. I don't, sorry.
But do you wonder where we came from, or do you think about that often? Because I do.
I mean, I feel like I know. Like, it's just like a fact.
Go on.
The stars, the universe. I'm a spiritually scientific person. I add my spiritual stuff to the science.
That's a paradox, but go on, speak to me.
It's not a paradox. You come from, the universe starts, the universe happens, and then you come from the carbon that the star creates, or is created by. Everyone has carbon in them. We are carbon-based life forms. So, in turn, I feel like we are affected by what happens in the universe, both spiritually and personality-wise.
I know we spoke about this a lot, and you talk about star signs and stuff like that. And okay, I'll go with that. Actually, I know we spoke about this a lot. And you talk about star signs and stuff like that. Because my perspective on that, and I think I just think of this in the moment. So bear with me, right? Is that obviously we are from the same life force. Of course, the universe, nothing can come from nothing. There has to be something that comes from something. But I think we're so far removed because we're so like evolved in a sense, not in the sense of like we're evolved creatures, but the time span of like millions of years has created a new thing, and the new thing that we are is now existing and trying to find its way in the world. And so when we look out there and we try to figure out what we are, the connection from us into the stars and all these things, obviously we exist in the same kind of perspective, almost like this is from my perspective, as in like you exist in the same kind of reality as I do, and I think that's the connection we have with the stars. But I don't know because I've not done the research, but I genuinely think that like the our ability to find meaning in the world when we look out and try to find our place in it has to stem from what we feel inside, has to stem from the things that we can do as individuals in a moment. And that's why I would struggle with your perspective, because it's not I don't think you understand it, and I don't think I agree with you. It's not I don't think I disagree with you. But it's just I also think like there's so much more to the human experience than just like things that are preordained. What do you think about that?
I think that honestly, applying meaning to life is a specifically human thing to do. We haven't got evidence that anything else does the same thing we do, like trying to find meaning in life. But I don't feel like, because I don't believe in God. I'll just say this right now. Wait, I'm not being smitten, am I?
Not yet. Lord, please forgive her. They don't know what they do.
I don't believe in you. Because I don't believe in myself. Okay.
Wow, God, that's crazy. Go on, keep going. You're saying?
Yeah, no, I don't believe in God. I believe in the universe and how we're all aspects of the universe itself.
Is that not God? The universe? Is that not like you're just using different different terminology for the same thing?
I don't believe in the Abrahamic God, that kind of thing.
That's just the way human beings experience him.
Yeah, but like I don't believe that when I die I'm going to go to heaven or hell.
That's fair.
Probably will go to hell, but
don't say that. Touch wood. You won't. That's fair, but I think we're talking about the same thing. We're talking about the same thing. It's the same force that we're all applying our understanding to. Even the fact that we apply it to a force higher than us is the secret. It's just different translations for the same word.
But I also feel like when you believe in God, you dictate your life based on what you believe God would want for you. I don't believe the universe wants anything from us apart from to experience things.
That's a want.
And it's not like it's like a you know when your brain like tries its best to keep itself alive. I believe the universe is a self-sustaining organism that has a biological, let's say it's a cell or something like that, has a biological primitive or motive to keep itself alive.
Absolutely.
So us living in it is part of keeping itself alive. I feel like we are parts of the universe itself. I don't believe that God is looking down on us and judging us, and or if you're like one of those positive ones, saying, oh, you can go through this, I'm rooting for you kind of God.
Yeah.
Like I don't believe in the stories either. The kind of, it's fun learning about Moses and the parting sea and stuff. I don't really believe it, but it's fun to learn about. But I don't believe what I don't believe in the most is dictating your life based on what you believe that this God would want for you. Like the Ten Commandments, for example, I believe is complete. Like,
do you not believe in the story of the Ten Commandments? Do you not believe in what the Ten Commandments say?
Any of it. I feel like maybe we're here by chance and that we're creating these rules for ourselves.
Is there a difference?
Yes.
What's the difference?
Because the difference is the people who believe that God created these Ten Commandments is that it's like he's a dictator almost, dictating our lives based on these rules. And if you don't follow these rules, you're going to go to hell. That's the thing I don't believe in.
No question on that. I feel like any ideal that you formate in your mind is a dictator in your life, because it posits a better version of yourself, which you can be. We're just having this amazing music play as we talk about God, and I think that's a sign that God is real. No, but I feel like any ideal that you dictate in your mind, right, that you have in your mind is a dictator in your life, because it will discipline you to do the things that you know to be do. And look, I agree, there's a human thing there, which I always struggle with, right, which I talk to Pelham about this all the time. We've had conversations with God about this channel, so it's not like I don't understand that perspective you're talking about, because when I speak to him, I have that perspective. I take your position. When I speak to you, I have to take his position, because I understand what he's trying to say too. The idea that, that these stories and these commandments, maybe because they're so far removed from us, where we look at them with scorn and be like, I don't believe that, which, like, they've created a society we live in today. So whether we believe in it or not, like, they've laid the foundations for a lot of the stuff that we believe now. We might say that's wrong, but a lot of that comes from love. And I think, if anything, right, if expressed in its purest form, is good, right? If expressed in its purest form. But human beings never do that, And I think the idea that you can take religion, but you can have the same argument for spirituality. If expressed in its purest form, spirituality is positive, it's good, it's spreading love. But in its base form, in its form that doesn't work, all it does is just kind of like remove responsibility from people, and just kind of just says, you know what, we're kind of all here just to do whatever. You can kind of do whatever. There's nothing to guide your actions, nothing to guide your emotions. We can't live in a world like that. I don't believe anyway. And you might disagree with my meaning of definition of spirituality, but therein lies the problem, because there's no kind of like focused idea of what this thing's supposed to do, something we can all share as a group. We're all kind of like in the desert by ourselves, and I think that's what society is coming to now, because we moved away from religion. There's like common goal or common understanding what morals or values that we hold. We're kind of in this desert where everyone has to kind of make meanings themselves, and it's very hard for a sole individual and reality in this massive cosmos to make meaning of all of it, because all it does is just isolate you. Coming back to that point, it isolates you, and then you have to make up your own meaning. But how can you relate to your neighbor when their meaning of the world or their meaning of their most important values is different from yours? You know what I'm trying to say?
Many good points, many good positive messages. What I disagree with completely is that thinking that there is no meaning in life, there's no Ten Commandments that you should live by. I don't believe that means that you should go around killing people. Like I don't know. There should just be this like unspoken thing that where you're like another living being. Even if I'm talking to a spider right now, like, you're another living being. What makes me more important than you?
Do you want to answer that?
No, like, I'm being like serious. Like the freaking like. You're a living, breathing thing. Trees breathe as well. Like, they're living things too.
We have a value system. Like, we have to put one ahead of the other. You put your family ahead of trees, don't you?
No, that's not like that's a social.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's something we developed as a society.
It's a social thing. Like, what I mean is like when you're talking about life itself, What? I don't believe in value systems. Oh, it's so cute. Hello. Hi.
Oh, you can't see it.
Hello.
No.
Hi. Anything to say?
That's beautiful. We love treats. I'm sorry. No treat. No treat.
No, thank you. Hello.
How can you not believe in God? That's an amazing interaction just right there. It's off the cuff.
Maybe it is God.
See you later.
Hello. There's never a smaller one. Hello. Hi. You're so fluffy.
Oh my God, it's so adorable. Oh my God.
Sorry, I have a dog as well, probably smelling my dog. Hi. Wait, can you hold this?
He's coming to see us on the bench.
Can I hold?
Say hello to the dog. Hello, dog.
Can I steal her? What's the name? Coco. Coco, hello. This is Coco.
Hello, Coco.
There you go.
That's the most wholesome thing that's ever happened in this podcast. I love that. That's amazing. That's amazing, man. You know, literally, we could carry on, but I don't think there's anything to say after that. That's amazing. That is amazing. We're gonna end. I think we should end there. What do you think? I think that's a perfect place to end. All right. Thank you so much for doing this. Let's see if we can get third time lucky.
No.
Yes. Thank you so much for doing this. We'll definitely carry this conversation about God, and I think that's a fantastic conversation we should have. But this has been a lovely day. This has been a lovely moment. Thank you for doing this, and thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Wait, no, before we go, actually, I always give the guests a chance to answer me a question, because I've been answering questions, preparing you with questions, before we get distracted again. If there's any question you have for me based on the conversation we had today, or just even in general.
I would say name your favorite virtues that people hold.
That's a fantastic question. It's weird because it's just a reflection of the virtues that I think I hold. But yeah, I really like. I think I love love. Like, I love all types of love, like platonic, but also romantic. Just the idea that as human beings we suffer and we struggle with connection and we struggle with all of that and we struggle in our own minds, but to just look at ourselves and be like, man, I love you. I love the fact that you exist. I love the fact that you're another soul living in another body, but you're just doing your own thing. And I love the fact that and I want you to feel good, and I want you to feel that positive energy. I think I love that. I love positive people, but also I love people who just ruminate on stuff. So it's like that, both that kind of because I understand them too, because I feel like at my heart I'm a writer, so I'm like that detective, just being in a range, because I do have that part of me. But yeah, so I love one of my favorite ones is definitely love, but also just like the understanding of suffering, I guess, like those people who've been through suffering and have that perspective to look out and be like, man, even with all this going on, even I can see the world not in these rose-tinted glasses, I can still love the world as is, and I can still exist in the world. And, there's other things, there's like ability to just be honest. I really honest. I respect that, I like people who are artistic, obviously, because, that's just the people I connect with. That's my tribe. People who just show love to people. Again, it coming back to the same thing, because I think the world is love. And I think that's the difficult realization we'll have to make. Whatever thing we express, whatever thing we do, is just a way for us to love a little more and be loved a little more. And I love that quote. That's from the Before Sunrise or Before Sunset series, which is an amazing story. And that's my movie that you should watch. Coming back to that question, which I didn't get to answer. If you're still in this episode this long end, yeah, that's absolutely what you should watch. I don't know if that answered your question. I'm rambling a little bit because I'm a little bit tired. But thank you so much for that question. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you. Again, let's try again.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been a great episode. Until next time, peace.